Chat Show. I'm Beth, and this week we're talking to Jill Francis Hudson.
Hello.
About her latest book, which is The Last Queen of Sheba. So with teaching and all your outdoor pursuits, but you obviously started writing books.
I've always done it. I think it's something that you either just do from early childhood and always do, or it's quite difficult to get into. But I don't know why I started. It wasn't in the family or anything. I just always enjoyed reading, and as soon as I started to read, I wanted to write my own stories.
You've obviously done a tremendous amount of research.
The research is part of the fun. Most of it is obviously through reading, but I like to travel where possible. Some of the places that books have been set are just too dangerous to go to. Sheba, well, there's quite a debate among scholars as to where exactly Sheba is, but I've taken the view that it's shared between Ethiopia and the Yemen, really, or parts of Saudi Arabia. So I had a travel book for the Yemen, and some of the sites that are mentioned in the book, it says you can visit this, but you need a large armed escort, which can be obtained from, and then there's details. So I'm afraid I chickened out of that one.
That was fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that the sort of aristocrats were taking turns to have their daughters elected as queen. How did you come up with that sort of idea?
There is some history to back that up. From Africa, but not quite as early as that. I've kind of extrapolated from something that was done a little bit later in a related area. So I couldn't actually say that that's how the Queen of Sheba was chosen, but I know that that system did exist. And something similar in parts of Saudi Arabia as well at one period. It seems to have been the case that there were queens working in succession like that, with a sort of Crown Council who elected them from the eligible families. So some of it's fiction, but based on definite accounts of what happened. The problem with Sheba is that, as I said, no one really knows where it is, so nobody is exactly sure which people's records they need to be looking at to find out what happened.
So intertwined, the characters,
yeah, the characters and the story. A good novel should have a good story and good characters, and I think if either one of those is missing, then it isn't really going to work. I think, unfortunately, quite a lot of literary fiction, it's maybe got brilliant language and wonderful characters, but very often not much plot. So I think it's important to have a story that people want to read and to follow, but it isn't any good without some good characters. But the story partly dictates the characters, and the characters partly dictate the story.
Yes, I thought that was fascinating how they work together.
They do link in. Yeah. They have to, really, don't they? Well, it wouldn't be like real life, because I think real life is the same, isn't it? Things happen to you, and you respond in a certain way according to your character, but your character's also formed by the things that happen to you, so the two things are very definitely intertwined.
Were there any other authors which you would say particularly influenced you?
Rosemary Sutcliffe, I think, as well. I very much liked her books when I was growing up, and when I was first experimenting with historical fiction as a teenage writer, Rosemary Sutcliffe definitely. But then I kind of moved on from her to Mary Renauld, and I think in terms of actual influence, she was definitely my strongest. There are many other authors that I enjoy now, but in terms of actual influence and authors that got me writing in the sort of style that I do, I think it was probably those two, Rosemary Sutcliffe and Mary Renauld.
Have you thought about writing for, say, teenagers?
Well, I was going to. The first novel that I wrote was going to originally be a teenage novel, but when I got partway through it, I thought this actually isn't a teenage novel. I don't know whether you really can write for a certain age group. I think you just sort of write what you write, and then certain sorts of people like it.
Thank you, Jill, for being on the Fact Chat show this week. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I'd like to say that I really enjoyed Jill's book. It has exotic locations, wonderful characters, a fabulous plot.